YouTube, back in the garage again. In this video we're going to be freshening up my valve cover with some paint. Now I would like to explain, you definitely want to degrease it and prep it properly. This valve cover here, all I'm going to do is brake clean the crap out of it, get all the grease and oil off of it, and just lightly scuff it with a scuff pad. If you haven't ever properly sanded down your valve cover before, you have to basically sand it all down with various grits of sandpaper. I would start with like a 180, then bump it up to 220, then 320, then coat it with some high temp primer, then paint it whatever color you would like. This valve cover here, I'm going to, like I said, I'm just going to brake clean the crap out of it, scuff it up with a scuff pad, and just shoot it. I'm just freshening it up. I'm not going to be doing a complete overhaul on the valve cover. You know, it's not that big of a deal to me. As long as it doesn't chip and holds up, I'm perfectly fine with that. So before we start, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. So let's just jump right into it and get this valve cover freshened up. Alright, here's my valve cover. As you can see, I got two AM fittings in the front and two AM fittings in the back. I don't run the two front ones because the hoses would be too close to the turbo manifold. I might switch that up in the future and just wrap the crap out of the hoses. But for right now, I'm just going to keep on running them on the back. I did strip this valve cover down like a year ago or 2 years ago. So it's all I gotta really do is degrease the crap out of it and just scuff it up. I'd like to point out one thing that a lot of people don't really do, especially with the non-VTEC, is your windage tray under here. I drilled out all the spot welds all the way around. The reason I did that is to get all the metal shavings out from underneath the windage tray when you drill out the holes for your catch can. And where I drilled, I tapped it and put screws in it with some Loctite so it doesn't come off. Not only that, I put silicone where it needed to be before I put it on, so I don't have to worry about these screws ever coming out. Another thing, you want to, I think this one right here, you can't really self-tap it because it's too thin. I couldn't find a screw that would be short enough to tap it and not go through the valve cover. Another thing that's good about this, you can always just take it back off and clean underneath it, get all the sludge out. I don't see a lot of people doing that. I find it very helpful. I found a video on YouTube on how to do it. It's pretty straightforward, but I find it very helpful, and I recommend everybody doing it. So if anybody ever paid attention to my previous videos, I had I'm facing the wrong direction. I had a sticker right here, pulled that off already. So now I am going to get a can of brake clean, take it outside, start with the inside, brake clean that, then brake clean the outside, let it dry, then I'll tape off all, like the spark plug holes, the oil cap hole, and the breather catch can holes. Alright, I'm going to start with the inside. Whenever you're using brake clean to clean oil off of something surface like this, or even your motor or something like that, you always want to let it start at the top and work your way down. That'll let the excess brake clean do its job when it's going down, so you don't blow through a whole can real quick. To do the outside, same thing. I'm going to spray from the top and let it drain down. With this high temp paint, a lot of times the paint will just come right off with brake clean, which is perfectly fine. You know, this is not a show car or anything. I'm that, just freshening it up. And my main goal is just to get all the oil and grease off of it. The reason I'm letting it air dry, I'm not trying to run a rag on it. Like I said, when you spray brake cleaner on high temp paint, it starts breaking it down. So if you run a rag on it right now, it turns soft and it's going to really make the surface all screwed up. So I want to let that dry. Then once it dries, I'm going to scuff it with a maroon scuff pad. All right, now that I've let the valve cover dry, I've got a maroon scuff pad right here. You can get these from AutoZone, or they're actually really expensive from AutoZone. You can get these from any like paint supplier place. Get a big box of these real cheap. But this maroon scuff pad is equal to, I think, like a 400 grit sandpaper. It just makes it easier to get in small nooks and crannies. I'm just gonna scuff it up, basically. What I mean by scuffing it up, best way I can explain it is think about ice skating or a pond that just got frozen over fresh ice, nice and clear. After a whole day of ice skating on it, it's all cloudy. That's what you want. It's just scuffed up. So. Come back after I'm done doing this. Alright, I got the valve cover all scuffed up. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could really spend some time on this, make it perfect, but it's not really all that my concern to spend all that time and get all the imperfections out, but it's just lightly scuffed. At this point, I'm going to spray it with some Windex to do a final degreaser to the outside, light coat it, and wipe it down with a paper towel. Let that dry, then we can start painting it. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to wipe it down with some Windex. This is just regular, I think this is dollar store Windex. Has ammonia in it, and it's a degreaser. A lot of people don't realize that you can just use Windex to degrease it. It takes a little bit more elbow grease to degrease a panel, or let's say a car or something, but it works great and just it's cheap, effective. I'm just going to mist it, don't go too crazy with the Windex because it does take a while to dry. I'm going to blow it off one more time with the air hose and start taping it off. Alright, so I had to move it inside. I'm afraid it was going to rain. So, yeah, right now I'm going to tape off everything that I don't want paint on, like my AM fittings and spark plug holes and the hole for the oil cap. So I just use my lid tape across here, and all I do is just rub my finger around the edge of it so I get a good imprint of it. Same with this. And I take a nice sharp brand new razor blade and I just go around the edge of it and cut it out. Tack rag, you can get these tack rags, you can get these at like Lowe's or Home Depot. It's just a cheese mesh sticky
cloth. I've seen a lot of people make the mistake by not unfolding it. You want to unfold it and like fluffy. And when you go to tack something, you don't want to press on the surface. You want to just lightly go over the surface. All you're doing is pulling up small little itty bitty dust fragments before you paint. If you press real hard with it, it's going to leave that waxy stuff on your painting surface, causing fish eyes or it not to adhere correctly. So you want to lightly rub the surface with the tack rag. And you can just... Alright, the paint I'm using is a VHT flame-proof paint. Works really good. This one, the primer right here, is good for 1300 to 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, you always want to put a light coat of primer minimum on any painting surface, really. Yeah, you just want first coat, you just want to dust it. You don't want to go completely crazy with the paint at first. If not, it won't adhere correctly. So I want to back this camera up so I don't get any overspray on it. That's my first coat of primer. It's really dusted on there. Like I said, you don't want to go too heavy too quick. If not, it won't work out well. So I'm going to let this dust coat get a little tacky, then I'll hit it with a little bit heavier coat. Okay, final coat of primer's on. I'm just going to let it dry. As you can see, I had to move it again because it did start raining, started getting windy and stuff. Luckily, it didn't affect what I was doing, so I just had to move it farther into my shop and continue. But yeah, final coat of primer's on there. Gonna let this dry, then hit it with some actual paint. I'm thinking about going. What I love about this paint, it covers really good. Alright, that's coat number 2. Give you a little closer look. A whole lot better than what I had on there. It's not perfect, but I'm not going for perfect. Just a little bit better, you know. I think I'll do 2 more coats and start splattering some white on it. Alright guys, it's time to put some white splatter on the valve cover. This is how it looks before. This is how it looks before I do the splatter. So what I do is I basically just take the same paint that I use but in white, and I put it into a small cap like this. And let's see here, and put my finger in it, get it a little wet, come over here and just flick my finger until I get that splatter. As you can see, splatter. It's not rocket science. Just keep on getting your finger in there and give it that abstract sweetness. Splatter. A little bit more. Obviously, the farther you're away, the smaller the splatter. The closer you are, the bigger the splatter. So, just change directions. The end of the cap, and we'll get that. All right. Now I'm going to put a coat of HVT high temp clear coat. Alright, just dry for a little bit. The splatter anyway. Put my clear here. This isn't HVT, but it's the same shit. It's Duplicolor. I think HVT is Duplicolor also, but they changed. I don't know. It should work fine. Just make sure you shake it up good. Alright, that was the first coat. I'm going to let it sit for a moment and we'll do a second coat. Probably going to just do 3 coats and that'll be it. Alright, move the valve cover so it's a little bit more in the light. I'm going to do the third and final coat. This one's going to be pretty heavy. Alright, I think that's going to do it. Last coat. Looks pretty good. Alright guys, that's going to finish up for painting the valve cover. It turned out pretty decent for a rattle can. Can't ask for much more, especially in a dirty shop like this. It turned out relatively clean. I mean, there's a few spots that have a little bit of dirt. It was pretty windy today, so I had a garage door open and dirt just blew around. But for what it is, I like it. I can deal with it. That's a lot better than what it was before I took it off. So I gotta let this sit. Probably let it sit overnight and install it onto the car. But yeah, if you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. Till next time, stay safe out there. Keep your hands clean and try not to touch your face. For heaven biz, don't be coughing on anybody or anything like that. It's getting crazy out there. So, yeah, be safe out there. Take it easy.